Hi, it's Crazy John Carrots, and I'm here with Mark Torgl, who was in the Toxic Avenger, which has become a cult film over the years. How are you doing, Mark?
I'm doing well, John. Thank you very much for having me on. I'm pleased to be doing this with you. I've been looking at your stuff, and it's awesome, so I'm real excited about talking to you.
Well, thank you. And I've always liked your movie. I watched it when I was younger, and like I've told you when we weren't recording that I've tortured my kids with it and my stepchildren with it, and it wasn't much torture, though. It's a very entertaining and enjoyable.
Well, it's a good way to torture people if you need to, you know.
Well, I don't mean torture. It's torture in a good way, you know.
You seem to have turned out fairly decent and level-headed.
It's affected my mind, yes.
Too much damage.
Maybe that. If I ever get picked up for anything bad, I could say it's from watching Toxic Avenger. How's that?
There you go.
But I should tell you that it influenced me since my degrees are in environmental engineering. You know, that's why I did it. No, but that. So how did you get into doing the Toxic Avenger in the first place? And did you ever expect it to become what it did?
Well, that's a really good question. Because I really, even though I was in plays and stuff when I was a kid and in high school and a little bit of college, and enjoyed that, I was going to NYU, New York University Film School at the time, and had decided, you know, at some point in my early life that I wanted to be a writer and director and make movies. And as I was going to NYU, Troma, who made the Toxic Avenger, put up a notice on our job board as the summer was coming and we were having a break and I was staying in New York. And they said, come and work on a real movie for your summer break. And there was the address and, you know, the phone number, and I called them up and went down for an interview. And I met with Lloyd Kaufman and Michael Hers, who are the owners of Troma, and got a bit of information about them. You know, completely low-budget B-movie, nobody gets paid, it's all for the experience. And I went in, and they were like, oh, you're from NYU? Well, what do you want to do on the film? And I didn't expect them to ask me what I wanted to do. I thought I would be a production assistant. And I said, well, I like to write. And they were like, oh, great. You can write some extra scenes. This wasn't for Toxic Avenger. This was for the first turn-on, which was the year before Toxic Avenger. And Lloyd said, what else do you want to do? And I was like, oh, well, I'm going to be writing some scenes. Can I be the script supervisor? Because then I get to work with the director the whole time. He's like, yeah, you can be the script supervisor. What else do you want to do? I should have said I want to direct, but I think I said, that should be enough for now, you know. And in typical fashion, once we were making this movie, if you're on the crew, you usually end up in the movie somewhere. And on the day that, I don't know if you're familiar with this movie, I played Dwayne. It was about a group of campers that get stuck in a cave and all talk about their first sexual experiences, and it's all bullshit.
I think I do vaguely remember that, yeah.
But I played, actually, the camp counselor was a young lady that was also caught in there with these campers, and her boyfriend was Dwayne, and the actor that they hired to play him did not show up on the day, and it was a pretty big part. And Lloyd said, Mark, you go in there and do it. So I did, and there's some very crazy and over-the-top and interesting scenes in that movie that instantly became pretty famous in YouTube material.
And as they say, a star was born, right?
A star was born, and the next year when they were casting Toxic Avenger, I guess they had auditioned hundreds of kids, at least that's what they told me, to play Melvin. And then at one point, it just dawned on them. They're like, what we really want is the character that Mark played as Dwayne last year. The dirty character. They called me up, asked if I wanted to do it, told me about it, and I said, sure, why not? Sounds like fun. And the rest is history.
Now, what year exactly was that shot?
That was 30 years ago. That was 1984.
I know by the looks of it, you can tell it's either very late 70s or early '80s. You know, you can just tell by the
Yeah,
look,
yeah, yeah. Yeah, with the haircuts and
the clothing, and
yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah, because they're now doing a 30-year anniversary high-def version of it, transfer of it, and they actually asked me to do a little cameo introduction, which I did in my backyard at the jacuzzi with a couple of bikini girls in true Troma fashion, and they liked it very much. So that's going to be on the 30-year anniversary.
and that led to your divorce, right? And no, I'm only kidding.
My wife has kind of just gotten used to all the nonsense.
But now you have a new project you're working on, and it has to do with the Toxic Avenger. Maybe you could tell us about that and how that came about.
Yes, well, it's called Toxic Tutu, and the way it came about, I've been working in Hollywood, again, on my filmmaker side of my career. I've been doing a lot of post-production on some TV shows and some trailers and different reality shows and stuff like that. But I got a call a little over a year ago from the people that run the Mad Monster convention in Charlotte, North Carolina, which is, totally monster-related convention with a lot of celebrities and a lot of guests, and it's got a ravenous crowd over there. And I knew these things existed, but I had never done a convention. And this guy Evan called me up out of the blue, and it was kind of funny because usually I don't even answer my home phone, but for some reason I picked up and it was like, "Is this Mark Torgl?" I was like, "Yeah, this is." He was like, "Oh my God!" He got all excited that he was actually talking. Like, I'm on the Mad Monster Party, and we do this convention, and we want you there. Your fans want you there. And I was like, well, I never really, I knew these existed, but I've never done one, and that got me even more excited because if you haven't done one, they can really advertise it.
You say your first time, yes.
Yeah, and so they made it worth my while. They flew me out there. They put me up in a hotel. They set up this booth for me that was right at the front of all of the celebrity displays with like toxic tanks and mops and just great scenery. They really set it up, and it was a blast. And meanwhile, one of my NYU friends, I told him about this, and he was like, "Well, let's document it. It'll be really fun to document this." And he came along, and we started interviewing fans and doing all this documentary footage. And I think during the convention we were like, let's really go for this and create a fictional story to go along with this. And because people were just like willing to do anything. The fans were willing to help us out any way they could. And we came up with this idea that's loosely based. I mean, we're still going to all these conventions and shooting documentary footage, but we came up with this idea that something happened on the set of the Toxic Avenger that kept me in hiding for 30 years. So we created this fictional scenario, and there are people that have been looking for me and wondering where I was, and there's all this speculation, and I can't give too much of it away, but that's sort of where the story takes off, and with our mockumentary part of it, and we're getting the typical over-the-top characters and the villainous and the heroes that are trying to help me or trying to get something from me that they think could be magical or otherwise. So it kind of evolved, and we've been shooting it for a year, mostly at conventions. We got several scenes to shoot in May that are going to get us really close to getting this in the can. And since it's a mockumentary, we can always intercut with interviews or footage of whatever, news footage. And it's going to be interesting and fun and over the top, as typical of a Troma production. It's not a Troma production; it's independent, but they've been very supportive.
So when do you really think this will be out there, and how will the fans be able to get it?
Well, the reason when it started at Mad Monster Party in Charlotte, that's in March, and so it was 2 years ago that it started.
That'd be nice. That's a nice idea, yes.
And then I guess we will, do the typical. We'll probably do festivals. We'll probably look for a distributor. I'm not sure if Troma's going to get involved, but that's always a consideration.
And of course, the Tonight Show and Seth Meyers, of course, right?
Of course.
That would be nice, though, wouldn't it?
In fact, on April Fool's Day, I told my wife, she was at work, and I called her and said, "You got to come home right away because I'm on Jimmy Kimmel tonight." And she was like, "What?" I said, "Yeah, come on, hurry. It's, as soon as you get off, because we got to get down to the studio." And, once she got here, it was,
I tell you, though, with the way that the late night shows have changed, though, I could see Fallon or Myers having you on because they seem to like the slightly different things than the older host did,
Yeah, definitely. With, the younger hosts, a lot of them probably know.
Probably a lot of them grew up watching your movies also.
I would hope so.
So I tell you, what other projects have you been on while we have you here that people could see you on or look you up on? What other things have you been doing?
Well, like I said, I've been working in Hollywood in post-production. I've actually been working on a couple of sitcoms as of late with Byron Allen. We've been on a long extent hiatus, but which is good because it just allows us to really concentrate on the movie. But I have all sorts of, the typical links.
Now, you have a new website out there, too, I think, don't you? You have a new website out there for Toxic 22?
Yes, toxic22.com. It's just newly built. It's still a little dusty, but it's looking pretty cool. And, it tells all about how we're doing this and how we plan to, raise the money to keep it going. We've got an Indiegogo campaign going right now, which you have been very supportive of. Thank you very much.
No problem. It's a good, worthwhile thing to be a part of.
Well, I appreciate that. It's Indiegogo Toxic 22. It only has a few days left, and we were really just trying to get enough money to shoot these scenes in May. Like a lot of these films, if you go to Indiegogo, they're trying to raise, hundreds of thousands of dollars or more. And we were only trying to raise $7,600, I believe. And we've got about half of that. So we're going to squeak by and film, no matter what, and just put more on our credit cards, which are already
maxed out, yeah.
But if there's, if there's an angel out there that wants to, be a producer, an executive producer, there's an executive producer perk, there's an associate producer perk that will help us feed the actors come May 13th for this big thing. That would really help us out.
Now, I'm sorry, go on.
I've also, the other place that you can look me up on is Facebook. I have a fan page, and it's actually under Toxic Avenger Mark Torgl, which is Torgl. And, if you just Google Toxic 22, there's a Twitter Toxic 22, and there's an IMDb link already for Toxic 22. So, we're getting out there in the social media.
Well, thank you, Mark. And you actually answered some questions I was going to ask you, which are what are other places people can get a hold of you, and you already said that. And I'm glad you let me interview you for OSH Radio, and I look forward to seeing the movie when it's out there, and of course helping you out as much as I can. And hopefully there'll be maybe a Toxic Avenger, 2015 that you'll be starring in. That'd be nice.
Well, they are actually writing a new Toxic Avenger, Lloyd and Troma. I've already talked to Lloyd and is asking if there was a part for him. He's like, of course there is. But Hollywood is also doing a remake of the original. Of course, they've been saying this for years, and it hasn't really happened yet, but they're still saying it's going to. So we'll see what happens.
I know sometimes when they do the remakes, it's just not the same, though. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, that's true. And sometimes I wonder how you can really remake the Toxic Avenger as a Hollywood movie.
It was a product of the 80s, and you can tell it was a product of the 80s, but that's part of what made it good and special, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. You never really saw anything like that until that movie. And, you know, it's over the top and crazy and satiric, and that's kind of, you know, where my head is.
But I also say the nice thing about it, too, is the fact that you were an Avenger. You know, you were someone that's put down by the people, and by them trying to put you down, it created you into a superhero. But you were a superhero kind of for the people, you know?
It was like the first anti-bullying movie.
Exactly.
The first anti-bullying movement, and we're also have some of that in Toxic 2. We're going to, you know, carry on and try and make a point of, you know, the whole bullying thing. So that's part of our movie as well.
So it was a crazy over top movie, but it had a what do they call that? Trying to think of words here. Excuse me?
Social message.
Yeah, there you go. It had a message, an important social message. It was before its time. How's that?
What did you say?
I said it was before its time with the social message.
Yeah.
But it was good.
And that's kind of typical of trauma movies. You know, they're always crazy and exploitative and ridiculous and over the top, but they're always done with something in mind that is socially conscious.
Right.
So sometimes you have to dig it out a little bit, but it's usually there.
Or dig it up, like in the graveyard, maybe, you know. Well, thank you, Mark, for having been with me, and we look forward to seeing Toxic 2 and anything else that you're in the future. Hopefully you'll let me know, and I can hopefully be involved in some way, and we're glad you were with us today.
Well, thank you very much. We're actually leaving Toxic 2 open so we can have a Toxic 2.
There you go, Toxic 2. Well, thank you.